Time is now 4 o'clock on Thursday, March 28th, 2024. And I will call today's meeting of the Bradenton Community Redevelopment Agency Board to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're at the portion of the agenda for citizen comments. Citizen comment will be accepted during the citizen comment portion of the meeting on any non-agenda item, future agenda item, or topic of relevance to the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Bradenton. Comments will be accepted on the public hearings at the appropriate time. I have Joe Collins. Please come up. Sure. Thank you.
Hey, Jean,
Yeah.
is this about the mural?
Well, yeah, it is. That's why I'm.
It's an agenda item.
It's not a consent agenda.
No. In other words, you need to wait till it comes up on the agenda. Okay.
Thank you very much. For items not on the agenda, Mr. Bill Sanders.
Good afternoon. Bill Sanders, 2502 Riverside Drive. I'm here today to challenge some transparency and the public trust for documents. On the consent agenda today, which I don't think it should be, is budget adjustments. I think those should be discussed. I question if they have been discussed with the board members here. If they have, you can nod your head that you've seen all these budget adjustments and agree with them. But I've been in communications with your director about 23 and 23A, and I haven't got a response. So I assume 23 was pre-Burton and 23A was after Burton. Would that be a fair statement?
23.
This is the documents that you presented to me as their budget adjustments in the budget when you arrived.
Is it the original budget adjustments?
This is comment, just comment.
Okay, I don't want to take up my time. You can, I would like to have an answer, but I wrote you and given you a couple months, and I haven't got an answer. So in there, I'm not going to go through everything, but the budget of the CRA has to be in compliance with the physical budget of September 30th. It's a state law. Correct? No, he doesn't. I don't think he agrees with that. But
No, that's not true.
but it is true. You can't. The public has to know in advance, and you have to bring it before the public in the 501 meetings in September. That's why they're there. That is state law, and that does include the CRAs. So those budgets, and I've got the law right here, have to be put in the form by March 31st to the state. And today's the 28th, 31st, this should be on the agenda. It should be on the website. This is a mandatory requirement, the CRA. And Mr. Chairman, I ask you, you should be familiar with that there's several dates that are critical to the transparency of this board. And budgeting is the top priority. I know nothing any more important than that. So to not have this on the agenda when the due date is, what is the 31st, Sunday, Monday? It should be here. And you should have a report. And it should be on the website. And it's not. Now, last year about May, Josh, I asked for a lot of documents about the trust fund. And you openly said, I will give them to you. You made a public statement. It's on record. So I asked to have those documents. They weren't given to me. So when Mr. Burton arrives, I ask again. His comment was, well, they tell me it was. So how can I trust? Like I said, I started this with public trust of the money and transparency. And I don't know if you don't want to give them to me because of who I am or what you might think, but those are public records. And there is statutory requirements to give that to a person. And to deny it to me has been just a slap or a spit in the face. And I don't know why you're doing it. I really don't. You come in here and you say things, but you don't follow through.
Excuse me,
Time?
time's up, but I'm having some technical difficulties and this doesn't want to.
I'll respond immediately. Here's a copy of our annual report, which we have in front of us today.
That's March 31st?
It's dated March 20th.
Okay,
So-
that's for the March,
Yes.
it's not on the agenda.
No, it's not. It's
Why not?
here in front of us. I'm not going to debate this with you.
I'm
giving
not
you.
debating it, but I'm saying it's a public
If
record.
you'd like to have a seat, I'll just answer what I'm going to answer because that's what I do. You ask me questions, please have a seat. This is not a debate period. So please go have a seat. I can't attest, because I don't have a record in front of me, as to if I said the quote, "I will give them to you," end quote. The city has a policy that the CRA follows regarding public records requests. If someone makes a public records request, we follow certain protocols. If those protocols include fees that have to be paid to fulfill that request, we require those fees be paid before any requests are fulfilled. If you have an outstanding balance on a public records request, the city will not fulfill further public records requests. So I'll put that to bed right there. Mr. Burden, would you like to talk about the budget adjustment process?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Florida law does require that on October 1st of every year, that every local government, special district, et cetera, have a balanced budget. As I've often said, that law specifies that on that day, during that hour, at that minute, at that second, yes, you have to have a balanced budget, but the state also allows local governments to do budget adjustments throughout the year, and then an audit at the end of the year. On top of that, CRAs are required to have their own audit, which is upstairs being reviewed by finance. We are required to have an annual report, which I was going to give to you today because it's actually early. Have to have it by April 1st. You have it. It was completed on the 20th. On the first page of your annual report, Florida Statute 163371, reporting requirements. And I'll just read this for the record. Beginning March 31st, 2020. Side note, this was from an amendment to the law in 2019, which supersedes the previous reporting requirements. And no later than March 31st of each year, thereafter, a community redevelopment agency shall file a report with the county or municipality that created the agency and publish the report on the agency's website. It says, let me read that again. They shall file a report. It does not say that you have to bring it to the city council or the CRA board or the tree review board or anybody and get an approval. It says you file it. It is filed with the city clerk as of the 20th. Agency shall publish the report on the agency's website. We have requested that that be done. It's not April the 1st yet. I'll double check to make sure that it is published on the agency website, but it was asked for a week ago. The report must include the following information: the most recent complete audit report of the redevelopment trust fund as required in 163-387-8 if the audit report from the previous year is not available by March 31st, which is a common problem for CRAs. A community redevelopment agency shall publish the audit report on the website within 45 days after completion. Checked with finance, they have the final copy, it's in review. We are not to April 1st yet. If we have it before April 1st, it will be published. We have 45 days thereafter to have it published on the website. That's transparency. The performance data for each plan authorized, administered, or overseen by a community redevelopment agency as of December 31st of the reporting year includes the following. So we had to actually do 3 reports for 3 different CRAs because we have 3 different plans. Total number of projects started and completed and estimated cost for each project. Total expenditures from the redevelopment trust fund. Original assessed real property value within the community redevelopment agency area of authority as of the day the agency was created. Total assets, assessed real property values of property within the boundaries of the community redevelopment agency as of January 1st of the reporting year. Total amount of expenditures for affordable housing for low-income and middle-income residents. A summary indicating to what extent, if any, the community redevelopment agency has achieved the goals set out in its community redevelopment plan. Your CRA annual report follows a template that is validated by the Florida Redevelopment Association. It's a good template. It was written by 2 very smart people. I happen to be one of them. It also includes a financial analysis from the finance department that is taking from the audit that's under review for each of the CRAs, which is required. And it also includes information for each item, for each CRA that's required by the state of Florida's amendment to the law. It will be available to anybody that wants to have a copy of it. If it's available here, that's why you have it now prior to the end of the month. It was submitted to the governing body, and it will be linked to, posted on the website. And we are actually right now going through the website because of ADA requirements, to make sure that our website meets the American Disabilities Act. So we asked you just a little bit of, but if anybody actually wants a copy, we can provide them a copy. It meets all the requirements that the state has in the statute. And next year will even be better. So, because we'll be using the new plans, and it'll actually give us more accuracy in this report than I could do with what I had to work with prior to me being here. So hopefully that answers your questions.
It does mine. Since the time is now 4:13 and our business will conclude at after 4:30, and business will be closed tomorrow, it'll be available come Monday morning.
Okay, can we get back to our meeting?
No, you may not.
Can we just
You just
keep
answered.
going?
All right. Item 4 on the agenda is consent agenda. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I so move.
Motion by Ms. Moore, a second by Ms. Coachman. Any discussion? Hearing none.
I
Oh.
wanted to note that Dr. Burton and I he was able to meet with me and review the budget adjustments as well as any proposed future adjustment notes that he has to date. And I'm comfortable.
Same
with it.
here, yeah.
Likewise.
Quite available, yeah. Quite available.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. All right, next is item 5, downtown CRA. Item A, Community Redevelopment Agency mural for City Center Parking Facility mural agreement.
Mr. Chairman, this is a continuance from the last meeting regarding the mural on the city building. We had a vigorous discussion at the last meeting. The Public Advisory Board that this board actually created, we met with them again, reviewed the process. They agreed to attend to today's meeting. And in respect to your time, they have elected one person to speak on their behalf to give you an update and review of what they've done. So at this time,
Get to the floor.
he will approach the board.
Fantastic. And due to you speaking on behalf of a group, you have up to 10 minutes to speak.
Oh,
Just saying. Up to. At the discretion of the CRA chair.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh, my God, no.
this isn't even time.
My name is Joe Collins. I'm a member of the Public Art Advisory Board. Most of the board is sitting in the audience behind me today, but we are composed of cultural professionals from a variety of backgrounds, which include practicing artists, educators, a landscape architect myself, commercial interior design professionals, Bradenton business owners, and cultural directors from local institutions. I'm literally here to share some color to the environment of downtown today. So we are very excited to present a final concept of the artist mural for the parking facility downtown. As you know, the facility is located just across the street, but located at 1000 3rd Avenue West, downtown Bradenton. The mural will be installed in the northwest stairwell wall facing the City Hall and Council chambers. The size of the wall is approximately 50 feet high and 30 feet wide with an open-air stairwell. It will create an atmosphere for downtown, so that's why we felt it was important to present this to the board and to have your feedback. Today, the board is looking for approval of the final concept and to move forward toward final installation. So, I give a little bit of history in the background of this process, how we got here today. Back in September, the Art Advisory Board reviewed a number of artists and has selected Mary Frangipane, my mistake, based on the artist's merit and quality of her local art installations and ability to communicate through a style that best represents Bradenton. Mary is from the Bradenton area and has numerous installations located in Bradenton, the Village of the Arts, and also the St. Pete area. Since September, the board has reviewed multiple versions and provided Mary direction to reach today's concept. Mary is here today. She can answer any questions, but she has provided an artist statement to complement the final concept. But before we get into the detail of that, you may have seen a previous concept that included silhouettes of people shopping downtown, an active farmers market with tents, a color scheme best connecting the River Regatta and the Blues Fest routes. The final concept today, which has changed a little bit, contains blue tones of silhouetted people, colorful tents, and at the human pedestrian scale. But as the viewers view upward toward the middle and upward height of the building, they see different sized masts and sails of boats, and that is supported by colors mimicking Bradenton's stunning sunsets and connection to the river. Since then, we've had multiple discussions, and one of the most important things that we came up with was to have a QR code on the final installation. And that QR code will direct viewers toward the city YouTube channel and will link to the artist statement. So it'll be a video of the artist statement explaining the background and process of the art. So, Mary is here today to answer any questions, and I'm available as well. But again, the board is making a recommendation for approval for the final concept of the mural. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Did a great job.
Yeah. I took liberty of pulling up the previous and looking, and looking at the changes.
Great. Glad to hear that.
Well, I'd like to just comment. I want to thank you.
I'm so sorry. This is, it never did this when I sat here until you started sitting here.
Go ahead,
That's all
Mary
I'm
Ann.
saying. No.
No, I just want to thank you. I know this is a volunteer position for you, and I can tell, I have attended one of your meetings, and I appreciate your passion and your commitment to this, and I think it's it's what makes Bradenton such a great place, that we have so many people in the community that really care about it. So thank you. I'm really excited to have more art, more public art. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Any other, Ms. Barnaby? Sorry.
I'm very excited by this. I like the fact that the numbers appear to be a little smaller and not quite so right there. Because I felt like the last time, whenever I would look at it, I would just keep going back to those big numbers. And I didn't really want to do that, but that's, I guess, how my brain works, which should frighten people. But the only other thing, and I love the colors. Would it be possible to put like a little green leaf on the top of the sun so it might symbolize the history of oranges in Bradenton? It's just a thought. I am no artist. I am absolutely no artist. I cannot even draw flies with a bowl of honey. So I had seen something that had been done before that had oranges in it. And oranges in Bradenton, it's so intertwined with our history. So just consider it. But I love the colors. I love the scale. It feels much more comfortable to me than the previous iteration, if that makes any sense to anybody, but okay.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, you are correct that the previous concept did have some oranges and had other floral designs. We gave direction to the artist to remove the floral patterns, but I can't remember why we took away the oranges, so I'll let the artist speak for that. The board can.
Oh.
Sure, if you're willing.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
All right, a companion.
all powerful women do, come on.
Announce yourself.
Just give your name first.
I'm Sarah Calandro, and to talk about why the oranges aren't there, as well as lamppost and some musical instruments and notes. There were a lot of different things that we saw up in the upper right-hand corner of the original version that we all thought were great representations of downtown and Bradenton and all kinds of things. But the more we thought about it, besides the fact that it just became very busy in this composition, we have a lot more public art to do. So we thought we don't have to put every single element that defines Bradenton into our first major piece. We can leave that for future pieces to come.
Thank you.
Don't say it if you don't mean it. We're gonna hold you to it.
Would you like motion?
Pretty sure.
I move to approve the design concept for the mural of the parking facility wall as recommended by the Public Art Advisory Board.
I'll second.
Oh,
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, ayes have it. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you for your time.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could, I want to just ditto what Vice Chair Coker said. It's wonderful to see the quality of volunteers that we are able to attract into the public art program from somebody who many years ago was trying to get people excited about public art to where we are now is light years ahead. And I know it's because of our volunteers.
You're here.
Thank you very much. You can hang out if you want to, but it's just boring government stuff from here on out.
Downtown maintenance?
I mean, I try to do it with a flair, but it's not really an artsy flair, all right?
Downtown maintenance isn't boring.
For them it is. All right, next on the agenda is item
Notice
6.
they're leaving and they didn't even tell us where they're going for happy hour.
Where are we going to fit them all? Next, for all CRA districts, item 6A is Community Redevelopment Agency Community Policing Update. Normally, it would be Sergeant,
Mr. Chair? Wait, you skipped 5B?
I'm sorry, 5B. Oh, my apologies.
Downtown maintenance.
Yes, my sincere apologies. Back to item 5B, Community Redevelopment Agency Downtown Maintenance Initiative Annual Report.
Poor guy, you told him it was boring and then you skipped him?
It's true. Don't act like it's not true. It's okay.
You personally are not
Yeah,
boring.
you're not boring.
Thanks, Chris. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, board members. My name is James Wood. I'm the Clean City Coordinator / Manager for the Downtown Action Team. In February of 2023, we started the Downtown Action Team. We started with only one team member and myself. We currently have a total of 4 members maintaining the downtown corridor. And don't get scared. There they are. Oh, get there. We have Allison.
They're all great.
We have Jamie, who's my main contact person. I rotate them out. I have Gil, retired police officer, and I have Anari, who maintains my plants. Most of us know what the downtown area looked like a year ago. We had dirty sidewalks, we had gum on sidewalks, we had stickers on every pole, we had crooked stop signs, poles that were crooked, graffiti, pocket homeless camps, flower pots with no flowers in it. This was a huge mountain to climb, but we welcomed it. We stuck to our game plan and worked hard. We adapted to unseen problems, and now we are a well-oiled machine, but we have a lot more to do. So what have we accomplished in 1 year? Today, if you walk on Main Street and the corridor area, you will see clean sidewalks, no gum on sidewalks, flowers in the ground, flowers hanging from the trees, flowers in planterns, no graffiti, every hedge trimmed, no weeds, no stickers on poles, and this includes the whole corridor area. So if you were to just not concentrate on Main Street, venture outside of Main Street and see what we've done in those areas. So we have discovered, and yes, there are curbs on the outside of the 12th Street area. We no longer have overgrown weeds on our sidewalks. Every water line is painted, every electrical box, drain, grates, they are all painted. The DAT team prides themselves that every request is addressed within 24 hours, but most of the time it's addressed within an hour. We have established a working relationship with our customers and our business owner. Unfortunately, you have those that don't care. As you can see, our beautiful flowers were uprooted and stolen. So this is the way it looked before. These were all the flowers that we planted. And Mayor discovered this over the weekend, that someone just ripped our flowers out. Within a couple of hours, they were put back into the ground. They're not going to beat us. I promise you that. The DAT team works with the CRA officers to report crime and theft in the area. We also locate homeless camps and report them. Once the occupants are removed by BPD, the DAT team cleans up the area. This team effort has been really effective in the downtown corridor, and I just scratched the surface of what the downtown team has accomplished within 1 year. Here's some photographs, some before and afters, front of City Hall. It's the way it looks right now. We had nothing in here when I presented this to you last year. You could see we're starting, there's a lot more. These are taken. And again, we venture outside the corridor area. You could see the growth on the parking garage here. It's all trimmed down. Everything has been removed. All weeds, all leaves have all been swept up. All hedges have been trimmed down. Park benches, we have a few of them out there, not a lot, but we refinish them every year. Our trash cans, we don't have a lot of them left, but the ones that we do, we refinish them, make them look nice in the area. This is going back to the painting our fire hydrants looked, and this is the way they look now. We picked out this kind of John Deere green to represent downtown, so we painted the electrical boxes, and it looks a lot better. Here you can see all the stickers on the back of the signs a year ago, and now they've been removed. If the signs need to be replaced, we'll put in a public stuff request, and they'll go out there and and fix it for us. Here's the sidewalks that we've discovered. Your sprinklers, people on the weekends, sprinklers, we have them timed to go off around 2 o'clock in the morning so they don't interfere with any of the public. Well, that's around when the bars get out. They're out there and they decide to step on them and break them. Within 6 hours, well, when we wake up first thing in the morning, we'll run a test on the sprinklers. We'll discover the broken sprinklers, and then within an hour, those sprinklers are dug out, fixed, and buried. You won't ever know at that time. We have had nothing but positive compliments from business owners and visitors to come visit our downtown. I personally had a resident come up to me while I was planting flowers who said he has been walking this area for the last 20 years and has never seen Main Street this clean. That vision for the future, it's this here. Own our own equipment. Currently now, we have no equipment. We borrow all of our equipment, our power washers. We were getting hand-me-downs of hand-me-downs to the point where they told us if it breaks, don't turn it in to get fixed, just throw it away. And we used them till we couldn't use them anymore, and I had to ask for a couple of dollars to buy some weed eaters, and we're using those right now. Have a budget that we could work from. Add more planterns on Main Street, more flowers. Power wash the alleys in. Where I come from in Albuquerque, all our alleys are developed, so they have beautiful, nice blacktop on it, and they're well lit. And people actually have functions in our alley, kind of like the paintings on the walls and the murals. We have artists go down there and they maintain it. They not only put up their murals in these alleys, they actually go and maintain it. You have criminals going out there and graffitiing it. We let them know and they come back and they would paint it for us. So that's kind of my vision of what I would like to see in downtown Bradenton, develop these alleys. Improve the watering system in planted areas. So a lot of the plants that we planted, they don't have a watering system. So we manually water every single plant that we plant out there that is not covered by our sprinkler system, and that's not much. You'll see our little cart going around, and we manually water those plants. Increase the power washing on Main Street and other areas. Resurface and seal Main Street sidewalks. So about 6 months ago, we resurfaced downtown, and it looks really, really good. But what's happening now, that tan color that's on the sidewalks, it's starting to wear off, and it's not looking good. It actually looks like stained, like foot traffic on there, and it's just not looking good. And I haven't researched much of this, but I'm thinking that they could mill it down, and then I would come to you and ask, what color do you want the sidewalks to look like, or at least that path look like? They could restain it, and then we could reseal it. And not the blue ribbon, just the sidewalk themselves. Help improve the stability of signs in the area. So every storm, downtown signs kind of look like this. So we went out and we straightened them all up, but I brought it up to the superintendent of streets, and he ordered this one machine, and it actually pounds the ground on those signs and makes them really, really neat. And it took about 4 or 5 months for that to come in, and it came in last week. So we're going to get trained on that, so now we can get all those signs nice and straight out there. We'll work with the street division to work on broken curbs and the cracked ribbon. I don't know if you've seen that blue ribbon in there. It's getting cracked up and some pieces are missing. I talked about painting the alleys to match the front of the businesses. So if we were to start painting these alleys, it's not going to be all white or all gray. Whatever the color of the front of the building is, that will be the color of the alleys. And it doesn't take much, just a power washer, get a swatch of that color, a gallon of paint will paint that whole thing. And what that also does is when there's graffiti, we're able to adjust it immediately. So you're not going to have this tan wall. They paint it, and now we paint it over with white paint. So you have this nice tan wall with this big white square on it, just so we could paint. We call those windows. I started the graffiti section up in Albuquerque, and we call those windows, and we don't want that. We want the color to be matched of the business owners. So when you go back there, it's the tan of the wall. So that's something that I would like to work on. And the last thing is, a couple of things, to promote public stuff. So instead of, can you go do this and can you go do this and we have this problem and all that, we would like our business owners to discover public stuff, actually have a record of everything that we're doing in there. Every morning I'll go on public stuff and I have absolutely nothing in there. But there are down poles, there's graffiti in the area, there's trash. I would like that stuff reported so I could kind of track it, so I could get with you guys and let you know how much trash I picked up throughout the year and how many graffiti moniker or tags that I've cleaned up throughout the year. And the last thing is get my folks MOT certified and get them a sprayer certificate. So they're out there, they have an actual certificate when they're out there spraying for weeds and stuff. Currently, right now, we just get the stuff from Home Depot, and that's the stuff we spray with. We want to use some good stuff, but you actually need a license for that, to spray that type of chemical. In closing, the DAT team has developed into a well-oiled machine with only one thing on their minds: to serve our constituents, business owners in the best possible way and make the downtown area more memorable for our visitors, and make the CRA, COB proud to say that we as a whole created this team. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, Ms. Cooper?
Yeah, with regard to the alleys, there was, and I may need BPD to weigh in on this, but I remember when I was on the DDA, we spent a fairly sizable amount of money to put the gates to stop people from being able to access those alleys at night. I kind of thought that was counterintuitive, that the more you blocked the public from it, that maybe it would be, I don't know. So if we don't want people in those alleys, do we want to clean them and encourage that? I don't know. I'm just curious. At the time, BPD did not want people going in those alleys.
Mr. Chair, Board Member Kramer, it was opposite. So the people that are in the restaurants and nightclubs and stuff like that, you have big concerts down there. So instead of all this crowd trying to get from point A to point B, they could walk down those alleys that are nice and clean. And you have people in those alleys, so it pushes away the bad folks, the graffiti artists. But at night, I talked to a CRA officer, and he said that the lighting in that area was really, really poor. You can't really see what's going on. But I'm thinking if you light up those alleys, that they could actually, they don't have to drive down those alleys, but they're on Manhattan. They could look down, it's lit up. Somebody walking down that alley, make a turn and drive down those alleys. So that's stuff that I'm looking at to prevent that stuff from happening.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Ms. Coach?
Everything looks great. I remember when we were originally talking about forming this team and how exciting it was to know that we're going to really beautify Main Street. And also around that time, I was thinking, wow, if this is a success, why can't we expand it to the MLK corridor from 9th Street West to 9th Street East and make that beautiful? Because the goal is to revitalize that area. So I could see a beautiful median, you know, where the trees and so forth are. So you keep doing a good job so we can expand a bit.
Mr. Chair, Coach, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's the man with the money.
Yeah.
He gives us the money, we'll go clean. We'll go clean whatever you want us to clean.
Okay, it sounds good to me.
What they do. I was walking on the street today and literally saw one of my CR members stop his vehicle, pull it over, put its hazard on, picked up a cigarette butt on Main Street. I was like, nice, that's really good. Any other questions?
Good.
Did you?
No, go ahead.
No, I looked to you
Go
before
ahead.
that.
No,
Okay.
it's all good.
I think that that's a great idea. I think that, you know, obviously you've done a great job building the team because of the level of dedication that they have. I can personally attest that every time I've seen them around, and they're very identifiable, you know who they are, that they're always doing something. You know, I've never seen them just hanging out and not, working on some project. So I just want to commend you for building a fantastic team and also say that I hadn't considered having this type of dedicated focus anywhere other than the core, but I think that
Is that still
something that we could, yeah, it's 100%.
Mr. Chair, Board Member, yes, I think that'll take off.
Thank you. Yes, I concur. I would like to see an expansion of this above and beyond what we're doing, because I think, number one, it's working. I think people are seeing areas differently now. And your team's worked very, very hard with it. I just came back from a trip and was in some areas that it was covered in graffiti. And to me, there's a difference between urban artwork and just plain tagging. And this was just plain tagging, and it added to the dinginess of where we were driving through. And I was like, it looked like this community just gave up. I don't want to see that in Bradenton. I want to see where, if we need to, perhaps this is something for the Public Art Board to talk about, because I know in Austin, Texas, they had a wall, a public wall, and as long as you didn't do anything offensive, you could tag it, you could practice your artwork on it, you could do whatever you wanted to on it. And people didn't get upset when somebody else came in and painted over what they did because it was a new expression, new colors, that sort of thing. That was one of the ways that they handled trying to stop people from tagging the different skate parks and things. So I don't know if that's something that we would want to consider, because I know if you don't allow some sort of expression at some point, it just kind of overruns everywhere. I also remember something back in the day about an additive that you could put into exterior paint, so that if somebody came, and don't ask me what the name of it was, but it was an additive so that if, once it was painted over, if they came back and tried to graffiti the same area, the paint would just beat up and you could just like wipe it away. So I don't know if that's something that is still available, if it's something that we could look at. I do really love all of the additional plantings, and I will admit that when Vice Chair Coker brought it up, I thought, oh, here we go. But she was right, and it looks beautiful. And I would like to see us do more of that. I don't know, you were talking about getting additional staff training. I don't know if we could work with the Manatee River Garden Club, and some of those ladies are amazing. Their yards are incredible. Have them come down and maybe they would do some training, or when they're doing some of that, because they have different types of training and workshops throughout the year. Maybe we could set it up so that our people could go and attend some of those trainings for a nominal fee, or maybe since the garden club is on city property, they may want to work with us about that. There's also the Master Gardener program through University of Florida that they have over at the fairgrounds, and that may also be another area where we could look at having some additional training done.
What
But-
university was that?
Yeah, I said it. Just move on.
I believe it's called the Extension Service.
It's the extension service, but, my husband's university is going to Ireland to play football this year, and they sent me this lovely cup. So, but please tell your staff that they're doing a fabulous job. And by the way, I see you out there with them. You are leading by example. There have been times that I have called you at, I've called you at 5 o'clock forgetting that we close at, 4:30. You always take my call, whatever the situation is, whether it's somebody has dumped a mattress in somebody's front yard thinking they were cute, or somebody taking a mattress from out of a garbage dump and putting it up in one of the trees in our right-of-way. Yeah.
They were living in the tree, sleeping with a mattress up there.
So you lead by example, you have a tremendous work ethic, and we know that when we call you, the situation's going to be handled.
Mr. Chair, Council, thank you. Appreciate that. And I will look into what you required.
One of the things I was going to follow up on, the idea of that continuing to other CRAs, specifically that one in the 9th Avenue corridor, MLK corridor, that's something I think that Business Foyer would be mentioning, it would be part of. So we'll have to make sure we give that input to them.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, the good news is that your plans address above and beyond maintenance. Anything that is in the CRA that's above and beyond what would happen in the rest of the city. So there is an avenue by which to address certain kinds of maintenance. Just to let you know also, we were talking earlier before the meeting that we want to align all of the city departments that currently receive funds from the CRA, not only to the financial or the fiscal year so that they're not coming in mid-year, but we also want them to fill out applications that will act as basically a contract between the CRA and the city itself, which provides us paperwork as to what we're funding. The applications will include, what they're doing. They'll get a copy of the very abbreviated plans that we've adopted and asked to put the pages from the plans and where it says above and beyond maintenance or community policing or anything else that the CRA funds. And then finally, when you talk about doing a corridor or an area like 12th, and I've brought this up before, and this is to remind myself because I need to move forward with this to bring it to you, is probably the best tool that we could give the city to do these types of things is a Main Street program. And you can have more than one. But Main Streets, they are a national program that the state of Florida has adopted. It's at the Department of State. CRA is funding a state-sponsored program as long as it's in the plan, which it is in your plans. Not only would help with maintenance, but with events and also marketing and economic development. Those are the 4 hallmarks of Main Street programs. So I have information on them, and I really do need to bring in an expert at it that can sit down and talk to the board. And actually, we could hold a symposium and invite other cities from around the Tampa Bay area to come to Bradenton and to learn about Main Street programs. There's about 50 of them in the state of Florida, and most of them are in CRAs. So Dunedin is one, Wauchula has one. Some cities like Tampa do not. But if you go through the land, Stetson University, their Main Street, which is probably one of the coolest, neatest little main streets I've ever seen, well manicured, well maintained, beautiful historic preservation, you name it, it's a Main Street program and it's very vital. So that would probably be, from what I'm hearing from the board, that would probably be a good direction for us to research and maybe put in play in our last 15 years of CRA activity.
Thank you. In the shorter term, Mr. Moore mentioned equipment needs. Would this require some type of budget adjustment to have anything happen in it?
Yeah, the way that staff is addressing the budget is that we wanted to do a large budget adjustment to line up with the plans. We have decided to wait until open enrollment budget time with the city. It's kind of like HR, you wait until a certain time. They will pay more attention to our budgetary needs if we do it on their schedule. When he comes in, like the PD and other folks with the application during budget session to the CRA board, if you want, you can waive his report because he just gave a really nice report and go straight to what his current needs are as far as financing And if he has any additional things that he wants to bring in, I've heard pressure washers, vehicles, things like that, then we need to address those. And we also need to look at them long-term as far as our cash flow and also, and you've heard me talk about sinking funds before, we need to begin thinking about creating a sinking fund for these areas so that when the CRA ends, this does not stop. And right now, this is on a year-to-year basis, and as soon as if the CRA were to end tomorrow, this would end unless the city picked up the tab. So sustainably, we need to be in the back of, anytime we generate revenues, we need to be thinking, first of all, sinking fund for long-term maintenance so that when I'm gone and you're gone, that there's always, that fund still remains. So that's where we're heading. And
Bless you.
we will be having, we may even have a little meeting with the city departments that do request funding from the CRA to help them through the process. Your budget process will probably be a little bit longer this year because we want them to come in and publicly, that's that transparency thing that was mentioned earlier, talk about what they're doing with the money so that not only the board and staff but the public knows what's going on also. So it's, and why not? Because when you see the benefit, that's one of the nice things about Bradenton when I came here was how clean the downtown is.
I guess that's assuming they stay at the meeting.
It's beautiful. It's you don't see that a lot, and it's something to be proud of. So, and obviously it's because of the leadership and the desire to make it. I mean, it's very passionate staff that you have. So, we just need to line it all up. That's all.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to move to approve the continuation of the Downtown Maintenance Initiative and encourage that we look at whatever additional funding that we can legally do and financially afford for next year. For this next situation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you.
Now, to item 6A, community policing update. What I was racing to say before, my apologies, is that Sergeant Aaron Pylant is on vacation. Lieutenant Seymour is also not here today. We do have two officers in the back. I'd like Officer Jeff Cox to come forward. He is the new Tamiami Trail CRA officer, replacing Officer Poulos. It's more just so you've probably seen him around. He's been around for a while. But, yeah. But you were actually one of the first CRA officers on 14th Street before it was the Tamiami Trail, like years and years ago, correct?
I think that was, no, I was on street crimes, but yeah, I worked in Zone 5, Zone 4 for
Right.
many years, yeah.
Okay.
On 14,
You were down there a lot.
yeah. I
So
was
you,
on quite a bit,
a lot of the issues then still exist now.
are the same.
Yeah. So hopefully with the new plans and everything we have going forward, we can get that modified. So, I didn't want to put him on the spot. We all have in front of us the monthly report. I'm just going to ask you to reference that. If there's any questions, staff can get that to you, but the quality of life, business contacts, meetings and events are the main points that are focused on every one of the CRAs. So if anyone has any questions about that, you can reach staff afterwards. All right, thank you, sir. Okay. Item 7A, the Love Park revitalization update.
Mr. Chairman, if you drive by Love Park, you will see that there are 3 signs that have been posted. nice large signs stating our regret that we're going to have to close the park while we plan, demolish, and rebuild the park. While we're doing that, we have been busy with placing a 6-foot tall decorative fence that meets city requirements around the perimeter of the park. That's in process. We have one bid in, and we're just waiting for one or two more, and so that we comply with purchasing policy. And once that fence goes up, then the park will officially be physically closed. We are also in the process, and by the next meeting, we should have the architect here. We have gone out to a number of our CCNA, our Competitive Negotiation Act folks, and also a couple non-CCNAs to find an architect that can help us redesign the park. We are finalizing that. We did have a couple beg off that they were too busy. I count that as a bid, but we'll also have enough bids for that. It should be, the fence, just so you know, should be somewhere in the mid-30s. It is a large area to fence off. The architect will be somewhere above 50, but less than $75,000. And we want to have design completed by the end of the fiscal year so that we can budget for the reconstruction starting October 1st of the next fiscal year and have the park well under construction by the end of the year and heading into a springtime, hopefully, grand opening. And will involve the police department with SEPTED so they can help us with lighting and cameras and that. We'll also talk with Public Works to make sure that we emphasize a really, really nice park, but as low a maintenance cost over time as possible. So, and also we are dovetailing in public art into this, and we have been in contact and talking to an artist from the neighborhood to engage with the architect so that the public art blends right into the park itself. So a lot of community engagement has already been done. We have all the files from that. We gave it to all the architects. And we want to move this park along as quickly as possible and get a groundbreaking rolling and then a ribbon cutting so that, and then move on to the next park. So it is well underway, and the signs are just the beginning, first step. Any questions? I'll be happy to.
I'm happy to finally have this moving. I know it's some Ms. Coachman's been championing for several years. So, and it's I mean,
Parks are great.
Police can advise.
I think I've done like 6 of them in my career, and parks are always fun. Parks are, to me, they're easy, you know, because it's creative.
And this used to be a very well-used park, but for quite some years it hasn't been for various reasons. But this is a welcoming project from the community, the people who live immediate around the park, as well as people that might be a little bit of a walk. But it's long overdue, and it's just going to be great, because that has historically been that park for a long time and named after a gentleman that was the very first Black councilman, and he's a living legend. And to see that park in the condition that it has been for quite some number of years has been disheartening. And my heart is full, though, right now, and I'm going to try not to cry like I did the other day. But this is.
I've known Clarence and his family a long time, and more of a character, I think. Yeah, he is one heck of a character.
Yes, he is.
He just celebrated his birthday, in not too, like February. And he's in his 90s and very good friends with his daughters
Getting up there.
and his son Anthony, Tony.
I want to just thank you, Ms. Coachman, for making sure that we stayed on task, that we looked into it, that we scheduled the meetings in the community, that we have done due diligence, and you were right, you were there, and you were the one that was reminding us that we had an obligation. So thank you.
I'm the voice for that community.
Yes. Okay. Anything else on that topic? All right. Next to the item 8, Tamiami Trail CRA, the redevelopment grant for Flamingo Bay Brewing Company.
I want to ask Chris to come up, and I will say this as he's coming up, we are having an uptick in grants and a whole variety of them. So we have them in place now, and Chris and KK and I and G&G on the art grants, we're working through the process. So this is one of the first.
Yes, this is one of the first. So, welcome grants to Tamiami Trail, right? So Flamingo Bay, they've been in construction for a little bit, due to delays in certain things and construction, materials and that kind of thing. So, as we're going forward, as Flamingo Bay Brewing Company is going forward, they have submitted for a redevelopment grant. Our redevelopment grant is a matching grant, 50-50 matching grant, and it's up to $50,000. This will help with the funding for the improvements of a vacant lot, an area of a vacant lot at 1902 14th Street West. The improvements will include parking lot, infrastructure, drainage swell, landscaping, fencing, and an 8,000 square foot beer garden. So this, is adjacent to the actual building where the brewery will be. So they, us as the CRA, got all the documentation, we looked at it, and we recommend approval for the grant. And the owner is here if you have any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Mignon or the owner?
We've worked with this owner before, correctly? I mean,
I'm sorry?
this owner has come before us.
Yeah, for where the building was, we gave him a facade grant for the windows and the doors.
Right, right.
And then this is the adjacent, at that time, it was the adjacent property for the parking lot and all that kind of stuff. All the infrastructure, site work.
Well, having grown up not too far from there, I've been very excited watching what they're doing there. And it's certainly going to be a change agent, I think.
Well, I think anything that'll improve Tamiami Trail is good for us. It's the gateway to our downtown.
Mr. Chairman, I can't stress enough that if we had more property owners that would invest on Tamiami, like this investment, we wouldn't have a need for a CRA on Tamiami, that's for sure. We asked him as we were bringing these grants forward for the board for approval to fill out a normal application from one of the older grants, just to have it in place. The new grants have a 180-day grace period built into them for anybody that's in the process, which he was, and we asked him to do that, and he did. And this is over $25,000, so it comes to the board. That's why it's here. And at the end of the process, there'll be a third-party appraisal done on the value. That's what we'll base the final grant on. But after looking at the numbers that Chris and I have looked at, he is spending well more than the match.
Mr. Chairman? Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
Another comment.
okay.
I hope you're going to change your address. Good, because I think the branding is going to be,
Following on that, do we need to get that approved through the U.S. Postal Service?
I think we can.
Just curious. I mean, if we're looking to make those changes.
I don't,
I mean, it's a
that's the first time I've ever been asked that question in the CRA.
FDOT. It's a FDOT road.
We can find out. I'm sure that we can research that.
I think the city's chief executive has a pretty good relationship with an FDOT secretary, divisional secretary. We might be able to find out the answer pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to approve a redevelopment grant to Flamingo Bay Brewing Company LLC for up to and to not exceed $50,000.
Second.
I think everybody's second.
We've been in union.
We all three second.
The second goes to Ms. Coker. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman, I'd like to ask, and I know I didn't ask you before the meeting, but how much money did we have in the Tamiami Trail account for grants? Yeah.
I believe it's 200,000.
So I just want to keep track of how much money we have left for the rest of the year. This is great, but anybody else looking for one, they are first come, first served.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion or new business?
Well, we've already talked about the annual report.
Yes, so
Yeah, we're done.
next.
Also, I wanted to go over with you this document here, and I wanted to do it using the Elmo, if that's okay. So that it's on the public record and on the video. So it's always good for really not just CRAs, but any government entity to do a revenue projection about how much money you actually have. And I've done them for years, so when they're simple for me. I like numbers. So we did one for all three of the CRA areas, downtown, central, and Tamiami. First thing you do is collect historical increment revenue from each of the redevelopment areas, and the more you can collect, the more accurate the statistics become. So we actually, Chris and KK and I, delved into all the information and came up with pretty much every year that we received increment revenue as a CRA for each three of these. Here you see them. And it goes to 2023. And then step 2 is to regress the data over the years and project. So that's what we did with downtown, and
Here, you want to take mine? You got it?
Step 2 is to regress the data, and that's what this looks like. And it's actually something you can do in Excel, and it's quite simple. Just got to know how to do it. And then the increment revenue for each of the CRAs, it will give you a projection over the year for each year. For each year, I know, and tell you plus or minus 5% how much money you should receive based on the prior years. Now, I will say this does not include any new development within the area, so if you were to build a multi-story building, it would have an effect, but every year we should be doing this to include that, because if we do have a building boom in the future, we want to record that and see how it's going to benefit us. And the earlier we have them, the longer the CRA can benefit from that because of the years. The cool part is, this really does give you an idea, a really good idea of what your bank account looks like over time. So for downtown, you can expect over the next 15 years or 16 years to receive somewhere in the range of $88 million for your CRA. That's if nothing else happens and we have growth that mimics what's happened over the past 20 or 30 years. That includes recessions, that includes booms, that includes everything, right? Always, and I don't have to say this to this board, but just anybody listening, this does not include the Florida legislature. If the Florida legislature, moves to increase homestead exemptions, it will have a negative effect on this number. If they decide to shut CRAs down, obviously it'll have a negative effect on this number. So just putting that out there. But when you see that number, it really does give you an idea of the power that you have as a CRA in the downtown. That's a really nice number. That tells you, this is how we can spend. And if you spend the money to create money, then that number definitely can go up. And if you spend the money for sustainable long-term benefit, things like the maintenance that you saw, wouldn't you like to be the board that sets up that maintenance for as long as it can go? That's really leaving a legacy. For Central, right now, that number looks right around 29, just south of $30 million, $29 million. Central's graph is interesting, though, because when it first started, it seemed that probably was a Tropicana thing. Because I was here when it started, and that's what was going on there, was a big Tropicana thing. The oranges that were mentioned earlier. And then, obviously, it took a dip during a downturn. But then if you look at it into the future, it's kind of flat. And that's interesting to me. That just catches my eye because it doesn't grow by more than $30,000 a year. It just stays within that same area. And that's something that we need to be concerned with. And we really need to be thinking of how we can grow Central. That says more of the same. And we don't want that. We want Central to blossom. We want it to invest in it in a way that it's going to actually really grow. And the good thing about Central is there's land, there's opportunities, there's a lot more opportunity there probably even in the downtown if it's done properly. Finally, Tamiami, this is why I did this, was to really take a look at Tamiami. $26 million. And you can see that it had an upward, and then it dipped during the 2009s and we all remember that time. That was not a fun time. But you see it still has this growth going. It still is moving forward, moving up. It's not as steep maybe as the downtown, but it's there. And the reason I do this is for you to have this information, for you to see what you can do in these areas that will, and think about the investment you make and how it will reinvest upon itself and survive us. And the other thing about Tamiami that I wanted to put in your ear is that the city is considering City Park, and that is predominantly in Tamiami, okay? It includes Village of the Arts, Voda. And the two of those, to me, when I look at the maps from the MPO, the Sarasota Manatee MPO, they're intertwined because they need the same things at different times, and you can layer the investment you make there. Making an investment today in today's financial economy is haphazard at best. Interest rates are not good for borrowing. But there are some sources of money that are inelastic to that. One of them, the city has already discovered, it's called the State Revolving Loan Fund. It is for improvements to infrastructure that are water-based, water-related, water, sewer, stormwater, things like that. And I want you to think about, as we look at the MPO's plan that they're putting together for the Village of the Arts area, and I want you to think about something called low-impact development. And low-impact development is basically using your environment that currently exists to pre-treat storm water on site and not putting it into a pipe and not running it down through the downtown and into the river and polluting the river. Because when stormwater falls on parking lots and streets and things like that, and it hasn't for a while, there's oil buildup, and all of that pollutant goes into the river. And a lot of it's nitrogen. And nitrogen is the main ingredient for a thing called red tide. It takes the green tide and turns it into red tide, and that's how we get a lot of that. So, nice thing is that in my previous jobs, primarily across the river, we have put in about 100,000 square feet of low-impact development, storm pavers, parking spaces, sidewalks, and it's very attractive. It's very neat, gets a lot of really good press because it is sustainable. The public seems to like it a lot. And I want you to think about that 25 million or so that's in Tamiami Trail. And I want you to think about making a big investment in the Lecom Village of the Arts area to completely redo and rethink and work with the MPO on financing their design. I'm not so concerned with 14th because that's FDOT, and if any of you have ever dealt with FDOT, they're really nice people. They're a lot nicer than they used to be, I can tell you that much. But to work on one of their roads, it's their road. 9th is a city-owned road. It splits Voda and Lecom. It connects the two to downtown. And I was fortunate enough to be a member of a team at USF that went to Fort Myers to work on their Midtown plan. Very similar, they have a baseball stadium away from downtown, and they wanted to connect the two. And this is a lot of the same. Very similar, except their baseball team moved out to I-75 while we're lucky enough to have the Pirates, and they want to invest in the downtown. I think that by doing an investment with the MPO and the city to work around the City Park project and make those improvements, not only will it help the Village of the Arts with parking issues that they have, it will also help Lecom Field and parking issues that they have. It will also help the environment by pre-treating stormwater on site rather than just letting it go straight into the river. And I think that will actually help the economy. There are ways, and we can talk about that in different ways. I won't take all your time today, but I want you to think about this. And 20-year, 1% money is good money. Before the interest rates went up, it was almost 0%, but we take what we can get when we can get it. The CRA lasts for 15 years. But there's something really nice about the statute, and it says in the statute that if you have an investment that you're paying on, a loan that you're paying on when the CRA ends, that you can extend past that just to pay that off. And the two parties that pay into the CRA can do that. And that would be a 5-year extension just of the payment to get the full 20 in. And that's the reason why I put this together and worked hard to get it to you today, is because if I was a financial advisor and I had a client that wanted to do an investment like this, what's the first question I would ask them is, well, how much revenue do you have? How much revenue do you project you'll have? How much expense goes against that? So we can't borrow the full 25, obviously, but we can make a huge impact. We can make an impact that will have long-lasting economic, social, and environmental benefits to that area, and hopefully tie it. And at the same time, I'm never one to turn away somebody else's money. In fact, my father was in development for a long time, and the first rule of development is use somebody else's money. Grants, SwiftMud used to match these grants really well. They're not so much doing that anymore. But we will look for resiliency grants. We're looking at a EPA community change grant, $20 million. We're looking at another EPA grant for brownfields, which wouldn't really help this too much, but we want to match our dollars. And if we can match the money we borrow, money from other state agencies to make this happen, we can even raise the quality of what we're doing and even extend the scope out even further, because it'd be great to include a streetscape of Ninth while we're doing this. And I think it would also, again, generate the economic investment once the economy starts to turn around and the interest rates come down. If people see that we're investing there, then they'll want to invest there. Plus, we've got the Village of the Arts and the Pittsburgh Pirates right there. So I just wanted you to have this. It will be in the minutes, so that if anybody else wants a copy of it, it's public record and transparent. And I'm not asking you to do anything with it today other than just think about it, okay?
Can we ask questions? I have a comment to make, not necessarily a question. Because I also represent Ward 5, I know this is CRA, and the Bradenton CRA and the Tamiami Trail CRA did some real strategic cutting into Ward 5 and pretty much took a lot of the commercial parts of Ward 5.
saw that, yeah.
Okay? But in the Tamiami Trail CRA is also a bit of a neighborhood. The Tamiami Trail cuts all the way into at least to 6th Ave, so it could include all of Lecom. You know, they didn't want to go like, you know. So, but there is also a Village of the Arts, if you will. It's a little residential pocket right there, and they have been kind of forgotten because when we're focusing on Tamiami Trail, CRA, we're kind of focusing on the commercial side. I just hope we don't lose them in that process as we kind of pre-plan as well to make all this economic, oomph, that we don't forget that little pocket of homes.
The good news is that little pocket of homes is a perfect area for an EPA change grant. Part of the EPA change grant is to have and to invite an expert from EPA to come in, and it's a brand new grant. The ink isn't dry on the rules yet, so they're still figuring it out. Again, it's a $20 million non-matching grant. Yeah, and it's about resiliency. It's about environmental justice. It's about it's a whole number of things that can help. And it's also tied to the river itself too. So we're planning. In fact, I'm waiting for a couple more estimates from grant writers before I can move forward to pick one of them in order to stay within the city policies. And as soon as we do, we are off and running to write the grant and request the help from the EPA. It would do nothing better for me than to see a $20 million grant come to that part of town, anything along the river on the east side coming in. And when I say the river, don't get me wrong, because everything goes downhill. The river's the lowest part. That's why it's the river. So any areas that are uplands that we can put resiliency into, the homes, the roads, everything, we can work with them and to be honest with you, I don't know enough about the grant yet itself, but the opportunity is there to grab it. And they have about $4 billion, I believe, at the EPA that they need to get out in these grants. So, and in the meantime, we will be looking at all the CRA areas and the money, and then we'll be bringing you back budgets that are longer term so that we can do more parks, we can make more investment. And the good news is if it's in the statute, it's in the plan, and the grants are out, and we're beginning to get hits on the grants in all CRA areas. So it's coming. I know it's been a long time in the making.
Right.
Believe me, I understand. We just need to keep at it and stay with it, and we'll start to see the improvements. They'll, a piece at a time, and then the momentum will pick up. So,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you just said that you don't know that much yet about, I mean, you have to do more looking into the EPA grant. Is that something that each CRA would have to apply for? So there's a potential for
That's a good
20 million
question.
times
And the answer to that is I don't know yet. But I can tell you this, that when I was talking to one of the grant writing consultants, they are looking for areas like the one that was mentioned that is in Central. And they are going to look at the demographics of the area to see, and it may be something with $20 million, there may be some city areas that the city might want to partner with us on, which means that we'll ask the city to pay a portion of the grant writing and administration and things like that if we actually get the grant. So don't just limit it to the CRA area, but if we do partner with the city on it, then we need to make sure that we are accountable for who owes what and who gets what. So don't even be opposed if Manatee County joined in, because sometimes the more entities you have involved on the signing on the dotted line, the EPA likes that. They also, I understand, want to have community partners that are not government. They want to have community engagement folks involved. So we will be coming back to the board and asking for your help to find those partners to apply for this grant. Again, I've done this before where the Fed has created something new, and they don't even have all the rules in place and they're already out selling it. And it's a little scary, but at the same time, it's a huge opportunity that we can't not take in. It'll cost right around $10,000 to have the grant written. So we'll start out with that and go from there. And we'll make sure we bring it back to this board, obviously, before we do something like that. Okay, cool.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
With this revenue projection, did you say, I know you mentioned it, but I wasn't quite sure. It does include projects that are maybe not quite completed? Like the Met, are you figuring that? No, it's
No,
not. So this is pretty conservative then?
Yes, yes. I found that most of the numbers I put together, I try and keep them a little conservative because, as Mr. Scott used to tell the captain, I always divide it by 3 to make it look like I'm a miracle worker. So it's better to be conservative than to extend too far out and then have someone come back and say,
No.
you missed it by $1 million. So we try and we try and hedge on the conservative side.
Nobody do that. Come on.
Finally, couple things. One, I sent you a dashboard. It's an email. It's a link to it. It's the city hired a really good friend of mine, a colleague that I've had for years. I didn't ask for it. The Public Works hired him, Zach Schwartz. He's a consultant out of Tallahassee. He's an ArcGIS monster, is what he is. Love him to death. I claim everything he's ever done because I hired him a long time ago and helped train him. And the dashboard is for property. And all I would tell you is it speaks for itself. Take a look at it. It will blow your mind.
When did you send it?
Today. I think it was today. It's unbelievable what he can do with the computers. We have 2 properties that you approved for us to sell.
Oh, yes.
Chris put the advertisement out. We are currently under the 30-day notice that's required by the statute. And we're also writing our incentives there with the attorney. He's going to look at them hopefully before the next meeting. Not on the smaller piece in Central, but on the larger piece in Tamiami. We want those incentives in place so that we can negotiate with the developer. And you have to approve them first, so they have to go to Scott first. So they're with him. They will be with you. They're well used. I've used them for 15 years, and they're self-funding, which is also very good. And I think you'll like them. The smaller piece is out for advertisement. We have to do this. There's no way around it. It's in the statute. 30 days, and we can then look at anybody that comes along that wishes to purchase it and bring it back to the board for approval or disapproval.
So you're being transparent and following the rules.
I'm doing my best.
Good for you.
Regarding that, if any of those potential owners reach out to us individually or collectively, and I'm addressing you because I'm trying to keep this streak alive of not having to talk to our replacement attorney, is there any practice we should follow or just direct them to staff?
Just
To staff.
direct them straight to staff, and that way there'll be no conflict, so the conflict attorney won't
No
have to,
good could come from
won't have to
that.
engage.
I'm just putting it out. I know I've been reached out to more than once, and keep-
I'm saying
keep
that in
reflecting.
my official capacity as an attorney's wife. No good could come from that.
Other than that, as I mentioned, we have grants that are out there. We talked today to Manatee County about the tourism grant. That went very well for the Angola project, which is in October. We've also talked with businesses and other entities about grants. And again, the incentives, which you have copies of the draft, will be with the attorney, and we'll have them at the next meeting. We need to have you review them, hopefully approve them, because one thing they will do is streamline your economic development in the CRA, where we don't have a contract for each and every individual project, and they're all different. That drives me crazy. Also, on the deal that we had a long time ago with the Bradenton Housing Authority, that they did a deal with Telesis on the Bradenton Village. Chris and the auditor are just about finished with it, so you should hopefully have that at the next meeting, which will clear us to today, which will be great. And he had already budgeted money into the budget to pay to get us caught up to date with them. That finished off. And Chris, is there anything else?
I have one.
No?
Yeah.
KK, no. We're hopefully bringing on our temporary person, which was in the budget adjustments. We have a scanner, and we are going to begin cleaning up our data, which will help people. If I have a hard time finding it, other people are going to have a hard time finding it. And I don't like that. And other than that, I think that, just so you know, it was in the, so you know, in the budget adjustment, we did have money included for the CRA manager as a thank you for keeping the CRA going during the transition, and also for his certification at the FRA, which he'll be getting in October in Tampa, so you all need to be there. I'll get us all up on stage and we can all give it to him at the same time. And I just want to make that, I know we've talked about that individually, but I just wanted to make that public also.
Very good.
All right.
Well done.
Yes.
First is Ms. Moore.
Thank you. I on the notice for the properties that we're selling, I have two questions actually, but I think they're pretty simple. Is it appropriate for the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee to be notified, to be able to review those bids when they come in? The last couple of meetings for that council, I'm getting a strong sense that they would like to be able to advise council and this board when it comes to selling off any surplus properties or whatnot, to make sure that we are having that eye for possible, whether or not it affects any kind of affordable housing in any way. It's just a part of a new mission statement that we're working on, that's one of their goals, is to be able to more aptly advise us in our council hat as well as CRA board hat.
Who's saying that?
The Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, or committee, the council.
Well, as long as they follow the CRA plan and the CRA statute.
Well, and they wouldn't really be doing anything. They're an advisory, it's an advisory committee, so they would just be basically letting us know from an affordable housing viewpoint, this is our thought on your 5 bids that you got for this property. You could take that with, we still would be making the ultimate decision. They just would like to have a more pronounced role in being able to actually advise us.
I think that's a decision for the city council, because I think the city council created that board. I know the CRA, I don't believe created that board. No, so you might want to bring that up at the city council meeting. We don't have any authority over them like we do the art board, because we created them.
I can let you know that we did have Mr. Rudisill confirm that it was appropriate for when Corey Fortin receives a bid on any city parcels, that she can share those bids with the advisory, the AHAC, so that they could review that. And then if there was, to the extent that they felt like there was any opinion to express, I could let you know that the committee reviewed the bids and that these are their, XYZ thoughts as it relates to affordable housing.
Yeah. Streak's over.
No one wants to listen to the lawyer talk. Of course, I defer to Scott on this, but according to the city's code, which establishes the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, that is not part of their purview of what they can do. Now, it's kind of arguable because it says that their duties are to review policies, procedures, and regulations. It's a sale of property. It's not really a policy, a procedure, or regulation, but if it's the policy of the city that you want the Affordable Housing Committee to review it, I think you would just have to make that clear. The city commission would have to, or city council would have to make that clear in order for that to become one of the duties or qualifications of that advisory committee.
Okay.
For what
so
that's worth.
Yeah, no, that's great. So I will then just go ahead and bring it up to the city, in the city council meeting, yes.
And when it comes
y'all
to the
know.
CRA selling property, and when we're following 163, Part 3, we have to look at all potentials legally and financially. Legally, to me, means according to all city codes and standards. So if the city were to say that, to get a recommendation from the advisory board, then we'll be happy to follow that, as long as, again, we comply with 163, Part 3.
I had been meaning to convey, and I probably should have said it in my word comments yesterday, but this just jogged my memory that was something I know that they're just, I think that they're, as a group now, they've done some things like, we've adopted bylaws, and I think they're looking for how to be most effective, really, is what their goal is.
How often are they meeting?
Every other month, I believe it is. We just met last, mid-month, so a week or so ago.
Okay. Ms. Coach?
No.
No?
I'm good.
Ms. Coker?
Oh, now I forget what I was going to ask.
All right.
I'll save
Next, anything else,
save it
Mr.
for
Burke?
Well, I
discussion.
mean, I
That
had a
helps.
legitimate question, and now I can't remember what it was.
It'll come to you and you can ask them
Tonight.
offline.
Was it about the dashboard?
Yes, I did. Thank you. I did not get that email. So if you could send it.
But it was-
About the dashboard, that's so funny, because that's why I said that, is because I wanted to know, is it still in like production stage? Is it shareable? Is it, what is?
Share it, yeah.
It
yeah.
is.
The more people that have the information, the better.
Who sent it to me? Because I
And
didn't
you
get it from
have
you
it.
or Karen. Did it come from someone else?
I sent it to a group called the CRA board that all of the, your
I thought I
emails
saw
are.
your name on it, but we'll
I just
double check. 'cause
searched,
I got the same email.
It
and It was
okay,
all the
just
same,
sent at 9:51 a.m.
yeah,
Today
this morning.
from,
from
Jeff.
Jeff.
Me.
And it's just CRA properties right now.
Anybody else?
Something's not right
Anything
with
else?
my email.
Anyone? I would just say, final comment, reading directly from the CRA website, and I want to thank you all for the influx that I have no doubt you'll be getting when you get back from the weekend. Fiscal year 23-24 annual report. If you'd like a copy of this report, please contact us at cra@bradentonfl.gov or call us at 941-932-9349. We are adjourned.